Welcome to the Unraveling the Scriptures channel. Manipulation, betrayal, and murder are the central themes we will explore today. Discover the narratives of the women in the Bible whose actions were considered the most nefarious, uncovering the crimes they committed and the stories behind them. If this topic piques your interest, support us by liking and subscribing to the channel to help spread this video to a broader audience. The 4 worst women of the Bible, the hidden truth. In the 4th position, we highlight Herodias as one of the most controversial women in the Bible. Before delving into her atrocious actions, it is essential to understand the context involving John the Baptist. This charismatic prophet began his ministry in the regions near the Jordan River, denouncing sins and encouraging repentance. His impactful message and devout lifestyle in the desert attracted a considerable number of followers. The situation became tense when John the Baptist publicly criticized the marriage of Herod Antipas to Herodias. Herod Antipas, the ruler of Galilee and Perea, had divorced his legitimate wife to marry Herodias. The problem was that she had also recently divorced Philip, the brother of Herod Antipas. The marriage of Herod Antipas to his own brother's ex-wife not only raised moral questions but also challenged Jewish laws. John the Baptist courageously denounced this illicit union, highlighting the moral consequences of this action in his impassioned speech. His message did not go unnoticed by Herodias, who, offended and threatened, sought revenge. However, Herod Antipas maintained an admiration for John the Baptist, complicating Herodias's attempt to eliminate the prophet. Initially, Herod Antipas respected John as a prophet, although at times his words intrigued him. However, Herod Antipas eventually succumbed to political and social pressures, as well as the influence of Herodias, and ultimately ordered the imprisonment of John the Baptist. Even in prison, John the Baptist became a figure of resistance, remaining faithful to his principles in the face of adversity. John's imprisonment not only symbolized the conflict between divine morality and human ambitions but also marked a crucial point in history. However, Herodias was not satisfied with just the imprisonment. Her desire was to execute John. The climax of the plot occurred during a lavish banquet hosted by Herod Antipas. Strategically, Herodias instructed her daughter, often identified as Salome, to dance and perform before Herod, charming him to the point where he promised to grant her any request. At this moment, the opportunity Herodias had been waiting for arose. Salome, guided by her mother, chose as her prize the head of John the Baptist, presented on a platter. Herod, a man of his word, bound by his oath and fearing the reaction of the guests, yielded to the request. Thus, John the Baptist, the bold prophet who had criticized the marriage of Herodias and Herod, was finally executed. In 3rd place among the women considered the worst in the Bible, we find Delilah. Delilah's story is found in the book of Judges in the Old Testament. She stands out for her role in the betrayal of Samson, an Israelite judge known for his supernatural strength. Delilah's story is often interpreted as a classic example of betrayal and manipulation. The Philistines, enemies of the people of Israel, approached Delilah with the goal of discovering the secret of Samson's superhuman strength, which had been a hindrance to them. Delilah, influenced by a reward offered by the Philistines, undertook the mission of uncovering the source of this extraordinary strength. Delilah used cunning and seduction to pressure Samson into revealing the secret of his strength. She repeatedly interrogated him, and initially, Samson gave false answers to keep his strength protected. However, Delilah persisted, emotionally manipulating Samson until he finally confessed that his strength was tied to the fact that he had never cut his hair, as part of a Nazirite vow. Delilah's betrayal was realized while Samson slept, and his hair was cut, symbolizing the breaking of his vow. With the loss of his strength, Samson was captured by the Philistines, had his eyes gouged out, and was subdued. Delilah's story serves as a warning about the dangers of manipulation and betrayal, highlighting the devastating consequences that can result from selfish actions. In 2nd place among the women considered the worst in the Bible, we find Athalia. Athaliah's story begins in the corridors of power in Judah, as the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel. Her lineage was deeply rooted in the political and spiritual instability that characterized this period. Her son, Ahaziah, courageously ruled the kingdom of the north. However, about a year later, both Ahaziah, the ruler of Judah, and Jehoram, the leader of Israel, met tragic fates at the hands of Jehu, the commander of the army of Israel. After the death of her son, none of Athaliah's descendants were old enough to assume the throne of Judah. Faced with this power vacuum, Athaliah saw the opportunity to further consolidate her position. She undertook a bold maneuver, taking control of the throne, defying established expectations and traditions. Athaliah's ambition knew no bounds. Upon assuming power, she perceived the royal lineage of David as a threat to her newly acquired position. The lineage of David held special significance in Jewish tradition, representing the divine promise of a Messiah descended from David. However, in her unrestrained quest for power, Athaliah saw this lineage as an obstacle and a threat to her position, thus challenging divine promises and established traditions. To achieve her goal, Athaliah took drastic and cruel action, ordering the execution of all descendants of the house of David who could pose a future threat to her reign. This attempt to exterminate the royal lineage involved a series of violent murders, aiming to eliminate any potential competition for the throne. However, her brutal strategy was thwarted by Jehoiada, the high priest, who hid Joash, the sole surviving descendant of David, in the temple. This bold action ensured the continuity of David's lineage, despite Athaliah's efforts. Later, when Joash reached the appropriate age, Jehoiada orchestrated a plan to crown him as king. Conducting a public ceremony in favor of Joash, Jehoiada revealed his descent from David. The population became fervent upon realizing the imminent revolt. Athaliah, noticing the situation, tore her clothes and cried, "Treason, treason." However, the people, following Jehoiada and supporting the legitimate restoration of David's lineage, were not deceived by Athaliah's claims. Joash's ascent to the throne was a crucial moment, and Athaliah was captured outside the temple. She was taken to the royal palace and executed there. The biblical account, in the second book of Kings, chapter 11, verse 16, records the death of Athalia, thus concluding her reign marked by intrigue and violence. In first place, the most cruel woman in the Bible is Jezebel. Jezebel, also called Isabel, was a Phoenician princess who married Ahab, the king of Israel, sealing a political alliance that transcended the boundaries of marriage. However, her impact went beyond political relations, as she introduced the worship of Baal, a pagan god, bringing idolatry to Israel. Her marriage to Ahab became a union marked by a powerful but negative influence that cast shadows over the nation. Jezebel was a staunch advocate of Baal worship, encouraging the construction of altars and temples dedicated to this pagan deity. Idolatry flourished under her influence, distancing the people of Israel from their traditional faith. Jezebel personified corruption and manipulation, introducing not only the worship of foreign gods but also brutality against those who opposed her. She ordered the execution of several prophets of Jehovah, eliminating those who opposed her religious beliefs, including an intense persecution of the prophet Elijah, whose life was threatened by the queen's fury. Furthermore, Jezebel abused royal power to finance and support hundreds of prophets of Baal, using state resources to promote this foreign religion. A striking passage in the Bible about Jezebel's wickedness tells the story of Naboth, a righteous man and owner of a vineyard next to the royal palace. He refused to sell his property to Ahab, even when the king offered fair compensation. Ahab's desire for Naboth's vineyard became an obsession, but the righteous man's refusal remained unwavering. This is where Jezebel's wickedness comes into play. Seeing Ahab's distress at not obtaining the vineyard, she devised an evil plan to satisfy the king's desires. Jezebel conspired to falsely incriminate Naboth, organizing fictitious charges against him. False witnesses were summoned to accuse Naboth of blasphemy against God and the king. Jezebel's malicious plan reached its climax when Naboth was condemned and stoned to death based on forged accusations. The cruelty of this plot reveals not only Jezebel's wickedness but also the moral corruption that permeated the reign of Ahab and Jezebel in Israel. Divine justice did not delay in manifesting itself. The prophet Elijah confronted Ahab and Jezebel, announcing divine judgment on them for Naboth's death and proclaiming that Jezebel's wickedness would not go unnoticed by God. Elijah prophesied that dogs would lick Jezebel's blood in the city of Jezreel. Later, Jezebel's end was as dramatic as her life. The Bible narrates that after Ahab's death, his son Jehu assumed the throne. Driven by a divine mission, Jehu confronted Jezebel. The queen tried to seduce him with her cunning, but divine justice prevailed. Jezebel was thrown from a window by a royal official, and her body was devoured by dogs, as predicted in Elijah's prophecy. Did you know these cruel women present in the pages of the Bible? Unfortunately, like them, there are many others. If you know any more, leave them in the comments. And which other Bible story are you interested in a video? Thank you for watching up to this point. May God bless you, and see you soon.